In this screencast, I want to quickly go through how you actually place the lanterns on your plan. So I have created an empty ath lighting plan by referencing the venue file in the way you would when you're working with referenced files on Teams. If you haven't yet, have a look at the screencasts that I made for that. They're also in the same YouTube channel. So we've got a few bars pulled into this. They're going to be my lighting bars. And so my resource manager is hidden at the moment. There's a shortcut for bringing up and hiding the resource manager, which is quite useful to get used to. It's Control R on a PC and Command R on a Mac. It just means you can leave your resource manager quite big, which is handy, but it's also not totally in the way when you're drawing, because you can just hide it and bring it up when you need it. So within the Cinderella drawing, I haven't got any lanterns yet. The stuff that's in here is stuff that has been pulled in automatically when I referenced the ath plan. So this is not really any resource that's currently useful for me. I have a favorite file, which is my own personal lantern library, which is actually getting a bit old and out of date now. So I'm not going to use any of these lanterns for this video either. What I'll do is I'll search for something. So we will search for a rush par. The ones that we have are the Rush Par 2 with the zoom, that's the one. So this search box will search all of the VWX default libraries for something useful. It will also search your favorites and any open files as well. So just make sure when you click on it, you know kind of where it's coming from. I'm going to import this and I'm going to select a destination folder. It's a good idea to keep your resources sorted nicely, because otherwise it can be quite difficult later on to find things again. So I'm going to create a new folder in here, call it lighting fixtures, and that's where I'm going to put my rush. So you can see in the Cinderella LP resources, I now have a new folder called lighting fixtures. It's also created a nested folder that has the info records that are contained within this symbol and some textures, my default instrument texture, that again was pulled in with this symbol. Now to place this lantern, double click it. The first time you do that, it comes up with this dialog and it's asking you, did you know that double clicking a lighting device symbol will automatically activate the lighting device tool? You can press don't show this dialog again. I won't, just so it comes up again for any future screencasts. But this is really important. So what this has done is it has activated the lighting device tool. I'll show you in a minute what that means. So I can now disappear my resource manager with my shortcut and put my rush par on this bar. Now you can see that I'll do this again more slowly. The first click places it. Because this is a lighting bar, it sort of knows that it's going to attach itself to that. The second click points it, so I'm going to point it this way, and then I click again, and it's disappeared. The reason is that it has disappeared is that the symbol, as it's drawn, uses a class for its lines and various bits inside of it that I currently probably have invisible. So what I can do is in my classes have a look. It's usually called something like Alexa lighting, and you can see here there's a whole bunch of classes with the prefix lighting that are invisible. So if I make them visible, you can see that the two instruments I have just inserted appear. So whenever you're drawing something and something just disappears, it's probably because it has within it a class or a layer, a class that is turned off and invisible. So I've placed these two. Let's place another few. So again, click once to attach it to where you want to hang it, then direct it and then click again to put it there. Now you can see when you look at the Z value here, it's at 6,000. So it has automatically attached itself to this lighting position. So if I select that hanging position, you can see by the wee arrow here where you get a sort of almost like a drop down symbol, that these 3 lanterns are attached to this hanging position, which is what I want. Okay, so going back to my resource browser, let's do something a bit wrong. If I was to take this lighting instruments, not double click on it and just drag it into my drawing, let's say put it here, and I'm just going to collapse my resource browser again. If you now look at the object info, you see that it says here it's a 2D, 3D symbol. So this is a hybrid symbol, as opposed to, if I select this one, a lighting device. So it is really, really important that you always use the lighting device tool to insert lighting instruments, because otherwise they become symbols which have none of the attributes that we need to later on manage what we're going to actually do with this light. So you'll want to be able to, you know, attach your purpose, your color, your channel number, and so on. Okay, so let's just place a couple more. Double click in it. You can see the lighting device instrument, lighting device tool is activated. And so we've got 3 on there. Let's pop another one there and another one there. So I have 5. X is a shortcut to go back to select, the selection tool, which I sort of got into the habit of clicking every time I sort of finish something, so that I don't accidentally place instruments and do things that I don't mean to do. Okay, so I've got 5 of these wonderful rush paths on my bar. They're not exactly evenly placed. So obviously I can shimmy them around. You know, you can use shift arrow to kind of nudge things and be very precise about where you want something. Or I can just grab it and move it, of course. Or I can just select all of them and use an align tool. The align and distribute tool in the lighting instruments is really useful for quickly just evening things out nicely. For example, if I say I want to have these 5 lanterns evenly spread across this bar, there's different options here in this tool, so you can have a play with those. But if I select this one and hover, this means it will distribute them evenly inside points. So if I wanted them evenly along this whole bar, while I've got them selected, I can just draw a line from the left to the right of this bar, and then it evenly distributes my lanterns across that bar. So obviously in different situations you might have different, might make different choices about what you align where. You can align, say if you know your extremes. I know that, no, I don't want to select them all. Let's just select one. I know that this one should be my furthest stage right one, and this one should be my furthest stage left one because of the set or whatever. Then what you can do is select them all. Oh, I somehow didn't select that. There we go. Select all of them. And then instead of aligning between inside points, I can evenly between points mode. Click on this one and then evenly distribute between the first one and last one. So that way I get a different kind of even distribution. You can see that the stage right and the stage left one weren't an even distance from the center, because the center one is now no longer on the center line. But anyway, so there's some tools to help you draw quickly. The align and distribute tool is really handy for things where you're working symmetrically. So especially if you're doing rock and roll gigs, you're going to do a lot of that. In theater, I suppose you tend to place lanterns a bit more deliberate individually than that. But you know, for like backlight stuff, it's a sort of handy thing to do. Now, if I was to put in one thing that you should always do straight away when you're drawing is put in a purpose. Even if you're not 100% sure yet, put in a sort of idea of why you actually decided to put that there. If you don't, I guarantee you later on you'll look at your plan and you'll look at a lantern and you think, I can't remember why I've put that there. So just put in a purpose. So I'm going to put mid-stage backlight. And I'm going to, they don't need a color because they're color changing. So what I'll do is I'll number them. And I will use my Spotlight numbering tool and give them some channel numbers. So in my Spotlight numbering tool, I've got some choices. What I want to actually number is a lighting device, and I get all of the sort of fields that you get in your object info. And it's the channel that I want to do, so I need to make sure it's ticked. I'm going to start with, I don't know, let's say my backlight in that range starts at 51, and I increment by 1, so usually you can leave a lot of this by default. Press OK, and now I'm starting there. That's one of 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55, and I finish by double clicking somewhere empty. Now you can see none of this information appears on my plan. That's because I haven't created a label legend yet. Now there's a separate video about creating label legends and goes into quite a bit of detail about that, so I'll just do a very quick one in this one. Let's add one and call it let's call it generic, because I'm going to use it for all kinds of things. What do I want in it? I probably want the color, even though this particular unit doesn't have any color. I want the channel. I don't want to dim at the moment. Maybe I want a purpose, just to remind myself for the moment. And that's all okay. Press OK. Now I'm going to make this active, and I'm going to have a look at the layout. Obviously right now that's not very useful because the purpose color and channel appears quite far away from the actual lantern. So I'm going to put my color in front. Nudge that up a touch. I'm going to put my channel behind. And I'm going to put my purpose on the side. And I'm going to rotate it. There we go. And put it there, and maybe I'll just gray it a bit so that it's not distracting. Exit this. Now you can see still no information here. That's because I've only made this legend after I've put the lanterns in, and so when I put these in, it wasn't active, so it hasn't actually assigned them. So if I select all my lanterns in my object info, I get a field where I can choose which legend I should use. Use legend. At the moment it says none. So if I select my generic one here, you can see that my information is now appearing. Another thing that happens is in my classes, I have classes for the different bits of labeling so that I can turn things on and off individually. For example, if I want to turn the purposes off because my drawing is getting full and it's got quite a lot of writing in it, I can just turn them off here. So yeah, these are very kind of useful tools to create views that are useful to you. This is how you place a lantern and make the information visible.